Out tonight. We are 3 weeks away from Election Day right now. I wanted to just start off by telling you a little bit about me personally. If you don't know me, I was born and raised here on Long Island. I graduated from William Floyd High School in Shirley, Massachusetts. I went to college, law school, and did Army ROTC up in Albany. 4 years of active duty with the Army. I was stationed in Fort Huachuca, Arizona, and in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I was in Iraq in 2006 with the 82nd Airborne Division. I was a military intelligence officer, a prosecutor, a magistrate, had a few different hats in the military. Left active duty, joined the reserves, where I still serve today. I have the rank of major now. Elected to the state senate in 2010. So I've been serving in the state senate since January 2011. Elected in 10, re-elected in 12. I'm married, I have identical girls. They just turned 8. They go to the same elementary school that I went to, Holborn Elementary in William Floyd. So during my 4 years up in Albany, I've obsessed over delivering on commitments that I made to the voters when I went asking for their vote in 2010. When I ran in 2010, I knocked on over 12,000 doors during that race. And we were campaigning on a number of different issues. I said if I was elected, I'd work as hard as I could to repeal the MTC payroll tax, to get rid of the saltwater fishing license fee, to fight for our veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder and traumatic brain injury. And then once I got into office, I obsessed over delivering on those commitments. One of my pet peeves about elected officials and candidates, they come up before you, they say, if you elect me, this is what I'll do. And then they come back 2 years later with their best excuse as to why they didn't get it done. They said, give me another 2 years or another 4 years, we'll get it done next time. And I did not want to go back to the voters in 2012, having to make any excuses as to why I wasn't able to get anything done. So we were able to repeal the MTA payroll tax for 80% of employers. We eliminated the saltwater fishing license fee. We created the PFC Joseph Dwyer program, which is a peer-to-peer support program for our veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder. I co-sponsored the nation's strongest property tax cap. We reduced middle income tax rates to the lowest level in 60 years. So when I was able to run again in 2012, I was able to run under the banner of promises made, promises kept. The most popular job right now in the country is the American soldier. It has an approval rating over 90%. The least popular job in the country is the American politician. Polls with an approval rating less than 10%. So serving in the reserves and in the state senate, you could argue I have the best job and the worst job at the same time. But I enjoy it. There are many different ways to serve. And some people may serve in the military or be law enforcement. They may run for office. They may start a non-for-profit for domestic violence victims. There are many ways to leave this place better than you found it. Right now, down in Washington, I believe that our country is heading in the wrong direction. I believe that we could be heading in a better direction. We've been focusing on a number of important issues. The need to do a better job growing our economy, create more good-paying private sector jobs. We all have stories of our family, our friends leaving Long Island, going to North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, because they can't afford to survive here. Our families, our seniors, unfortunately choosing to leave even though they don't want to, being driven off of Long Island because they believe that they have no choice, being torn apart from their families. So we're focusing on ways that really all levels of government could do more to create more good-paying private sector jobs. I believe our country can do more to better secure our borders and protect America's interests overseas. I'm concerned about the growing threat of ISIS, watching Vladimir the Great in Russia annexing his neighbor is of concern. Our nation's military reduced to the lowest level since pre-World War II levels. Iran, Syria, Iraq, Iran, Israel, there's just a lot of hot button issues with our nation's foreign policy. We need to have a strong, more consistent foreign policy. And so that's a second issue that we're focusing on a lot during this campaign. We need to secure our borders, protect America's interests overseas. I have a very special place in my heart for fighting for our veterans who fought for us. We have a disproportionate amount of veterans who are homeless. And if you raise your hand, you're willing to lay down your life in protection of everything that makes our nation great. When you come home, it's important with an outstretched hand or a hug to say thank you for your service. But there's more that we could be doing to make sure you have a roof over your head, to make sure that you have vocational opportunities, educational opportunities, that you're able to provide for your families. We have veterans returning home with, they may look like they're in one piece, but they're coming home with mental wounds or PTSD. And I think that we could be doing more to help them. There's also a huge backlog of disability claims. It's been an ongoing problem for a long time with the VA. We are hearing stories of hospitals in other parts of the country where veterans are, there's secret wait lists, and it's just, there's a lot of scandal. That's why the VA director was replaced. The fourth issue is with regards to, I believe in higher standards for our kids. My daughter's being in 3rd grade. I don't believe that Common Core is the answer. I think that we can do better than Common Core. You have these standards that are created nationally, tests created by the state, curriculum set by the school district. Nobody's talking to each other. A lot of the material isn't age appropriate. You have 5th grade special ed students taking 5th grade classes, even though they read at a 2nd grade reading level. 1st graders learning about ancient world Mesopotamia and strategic advantage of the Tigris and Euphrates River with regards to the development of the city of Babylon. It's an English language art, early world civilization domain for 6-year-olds. That's what they're learning. A good lesson to learn, ancient world Mesopotamia, maybe not when you're in 1st grade. And there are other examples as well as to why I'm really concerned with Common Core and its implementation. And fifthly, the incumbent and I, we've had a good working relationship. Our offices work well together. We disagree on Obamacare. I'm someone who, deeply concerned with the amount of stories I hear of people who are experiencing higher premiums, higher deductibles, lost doctors, canceled policies, longer wait times, hospitals gaining monopolies. There's just a lot of concerns that I have with Obamacare. I believe that we can do better. And so those are some of the things that we were talking about. I personally believe in term limits, but regardless of whether or not you have term limits statutorily, every time that there's an election, we have term limits. You have the ability to decide whether or not you want to keep your elected officials in the various positions or you want change. So I'm running, giving you an option for a new direction for your local representative, hopefully a better direction for this country, and look forward to meeting all of you individually. How did I do on time?
Thank you. Thank you. Good. 45 seconds if you want. Okay, before we break into individual discussions, I just want to mention our next meeting, which is really one of the most important ones we'll have. It is November 10th at the Phillips Avenue School, 7 p.m. ACOM Engineering, the consulting firm that was hired to design the Riverside to downtown Riverhead pedestrian bridge, will be at the school making a presentation of the design options that are available to us given the physical constraints of the river depths, the wetlands, etc. As you all know, we all consider that amenity, the park and the pedestrian crossing to be very important to the revitalization of Riverside. Having those happy people who leave the aquarium, walk across a lovely bridge through a lovely park, and then go shop in Riverside or eat. That's the goal, and we're hoping the state will fund our grant request to build this bridge. But the design is really up to the residents and the elected officials. It's going to be brought to you. There are options. You'll break up into different groups and get to talk to the engineers about what you like, what you don't like, what you'd like to see, what you're afraid of, etc. And have them take all that into consideration before they come back to you with an aesthetic, what it will actually look like, whether it has lights or benches and all of that stuff will really depend on what the residents of Riverside in the area actually tell them. So it's real important to tell your friends, tell your neighbors. They should be at that meeting. It's a park in their neighborhood. It's walking distance to so many of our members and friends. They'll use that park. They need to get out and tell the engineers what they like and what they don't like. So that's November 10th at the Phillips Avenue School, close to lots of the residents who are right there. I also expect lots of people from downtown Riverhead who feel as much ownership in this as the people of Riverside, because we all live in this downtown community.